Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Irish Bill on JockJive.com for week 3 of Irish Bill's Twist on Sports. And you're probably wondering why I did the University of North Alabama fight song to come into the show tonight. Well, this Friday night, Coach Greg Greenhaw will be coaching his 300th high school game, and that's quite a feat for Coach Greenhaw. And we're going to change up the show a little bit tonight. Normally we would have a recap of last Friday's night game, but Hurricane Irma took care of that. So we're going to do a tribute to Coach Greg Greenhaw, his 300th game this Friday night. I had an interview with Coach Greenhaw a couple years ago, back in August of 2015, as he was battling some serious medical issues, and he's gotten through that. And he's still coaching at Navarre in his 300th game coming up this week. Before we get started, let's go over the show. We already told you about the interview coming up. Then we're going to head off, and we're going to have Brian Lester, Navarre's press sports writer, coming in to join us tonight. Then we're going to go into the remainder of the show that we normally do, the Super 7 Power Rankings and our Star of the Week. Even with the limited schedule, we do have a Star of the Week this week. And we'll go over this week's schedule, the high school and top 25 college predictions for this week. And my favorite segment of the show, Where Are They Now? Former Navarre Raiders. Then we'll finish it all out with the Gulf South Conference schedule. And we'll thank Randy and Honey Smith for hosting this year's show once again. And then we'll finish up giving you an update on Coach Jay Walls and what he's done over his career at Navarre High School and throughout his high school coaching days. Once again, let's go to our first story tonight. And this I received from Coach Greenhaw's dad, Herbie. Herbie listens to my broadcast and now watches most of my broadcasts on JockJive.com. He said, I'm calling you to tell you a little story about Greg's first coaching and teaching career. His first coaching job was at Gordon Lee High School in Chickamauga. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that correct. Georgia. I called him to see about his teaching schedule. He had physical education, coaching, history, and poetry. I kind of shook my head on that one a little bit, poetry. So I asked him how he got a job teaching poetry. He said he had a choice between computer science and poetry. So he said, I decided that I once read a poem, so I took the job. It's a great story there from Herbie, where you're listening at tonight, Herbie. And that was his first coaching job. Greg grew up in Athens, Alabama, and just off of I-65, I-65 as you're going north through the state of Alabama, where he also coached at Athens High School, but that was later on in his career. And I'm going to bring up a couple of words from his lovely wife, Stacy, who gave me some information to talk about Greg tonight as well. He said, as we already know, his first coaching job was at Gordon Lee in Chickamauga, Georgia, near Chattanooga, Tennessee. He then went on to East Limestone and Athens, and now at Navarre High. At Athens, he won a state title, and part of my interview is he received a phone call from then Georgia head coach Mark Rick, and you'll listen to that as we go through the interview. It's Irish Bill's Twist on Sports. Sit back and enjoy the next 15 minutes of my interview with offensive line coach Greg Greenhaw.
This is Irish Bill with Irish Bill's Twist on Sports, and I'm interviewing Coach Greg Greenhaw, the offensive line coach from Navarre High. And welcome, Coach.
Thank you, Bill. Glad to be here.
I'm glad that you could join me. This simulcast is coming up on Wednesday evening, but during the season it's tough for the coaches to get out with practice and everything, so I come down to the high school and we'll do a Sunday interview. And Coach Greenhaw, tell us a little bit about yourself and where you come from.
I am from Athens, Alabama. Pretty much lived there in the North Alabama area my entire life until I moved down here to the beautiful Gulf Coast and the city of Navarre. I went to high school at Athens High School, and then I went to college at the University of North Alabama and played football there for Coach Bobby Wallace. And finished up there in 1992 and took my first coaching job in a little small town called Chickamauga, Georgia, which is about 15 minutes south out of Chattanooga, Tennessee. And from there, I went back to Alabama and spent about 20 years coaching in the North Alabama area, and then had the opportunity to come south. And was a great opportunity, and I'm looking forward to many more years down here.
For those that don't know where that part of just south of Chattanooga, that is probably one of the most beautiful parts of Alabama. The scenery through there is just, I mean, I drove through there a couple of times, and it's just flat out beautiful. And coming into this season, we're going to talk a little bit about something else besides football. Earlier in the year, you had a medical health issue. What happened, and how are you coming along?
Well, first of all, Bill, I just want to say that I'm very fortunate, and that the good Lord was looking out for me and for my family during that time. I had an aneurysm on top of my aorta, and it was pretty significant in size. It was 6 centimeters. So they had to go in and do open heart surgery on April the 1st, which coincidentally happened to be April Fool's Day. I don't know if that had anything to do with that. But Dr. Bailey at Baptist Pensacola, just a fantastic surgeon, and I feel like I owe my life to him because they just happened to catch the aneurysm on a CT. I had been having some chest pains and some pain in between my shoulder blades, the type of pain that I'd never experienced before. It was like a deep pressure type pain, like someone was squeezing a tennis ball in my chest and then releasing it. And of course, you know, we were supposed to start spring training on that Monday, and this was on a Saturday and into Sunday when I first started experiencing this. And my wife came home on a Sunday afternoon and looked at me and she said, "We're going to the emergency room and you're not going to argue." And I felt so bad at that point that I didn't argue with her. And you know, we went to the emergency room at Gulf Breeze, and I'd like to give a shout out to the people at Gulf Breeze Baptist, the doctors and nurses and staff there, and then also the doctors and nurses and staff at Baptist in Pensacola did a phenomenal job. And if anyone ever has to go to the hospital, I would definitely recommend Baptist. They're on top of their game there. But they repaired the aneurysm, and I had an 8-week recovery period as far as the open heart part of it in my sternum. Dr. Bailey said it takes 8 weeks for that to heal up. So I've got a pretty significant scar now. But my recovery has gone really well. I had my last checkup about 3 weeks ago, and everything looked good. I had an echogram done. Everything was in place and working properly as it was supposed to. Fortunately, the valves in my heart were not damaged by the aneurysm, so they did not have to do a valve replacement, which I was very, very happy about that, because that requires a lot more extensive recovery time.
One thing I've always liked about this community, they rally around their school and their community. I mean, 4 years ago with Ian Lockwood, unfortunately, Ian lost his battle with a tumor, and but when all this happened, it seemed like the community came together once again, and the football program itself and the Moms Club. I mean, what a great group of moms we have here at Navarre High.
There's no question about it, Bill. My wife and myself and my young son, Carson, we were just overwhelmed with the appreciation for the people in the community of Navarre, especially here at the high school and around this football program. My wife and I were taken care of in a way, in an unconditional, loving way that unfortunately you don't see everywhere. And it was a very, very humbling experience. You know, Bill, you and your wife Brenda coming over and checking on us and bringing meals and bringing a footstool over for me to prop my feet up on, and that I'm still using. And the Moms Club here bringing meals to the house on a daily basis, and faculty members here at the school and the administration coming and checking on us and calling, and all the thoughts and cards and prayers that we received was just, like I said, it's very overwhelming and humbling experience, and I'll forever be indebted to the people of Navarre and Navarre High School.
Well, I've been fortunate enough to be a part of the quarterback club for the last 3 years as a treasurer, and my wife as the head of merchandise and sales there. And I tell you, it's these classes that we have right here, right now, the group of parents that we have are they're awesome to be around.
Oh, there's no question about it. The support that these parents and this community gives to this football program is unlike anywhere I've ever been, and not that I've been in a lot of programs, but it is very unique in this day and time where so many people are trying to cut costs and budget cuts, and I have actually been in schools where there was not a quarterback club. There was a booster club that benefited all of the sports programs, but I just feel like sometimes that more gets done when there is a specific group for each individual sport. A lot of people feel like that the community gets browbeaten a lot of times by all the different groups that come around, asking for donations or doing fundraisers and those types of things. But the way our quarterback club operates is definitely a first-class organization.
I agree. Well, let's get back to my next question here is what brought you to Navarre?
Well, Coach Walls and I had never met each other. And in 2012, like I said, again, I was coaching at Athens High School and had been there for several years. And it was my alma mater. And Coach Walls and I have a mutual friend, a coach by the name of David Ellensrath. And Coach Walls and Coach E, we call him, Big E, they had coached together at Valdosta State. And over the course of, from 2001 until about 2008 or 9, I would go over to Athens, Georgia every June, first week of June, and I would work the Mark Richt football camps. And Coach Ellensrath was also working those camps. So he and I got to know each other during those camps and became very good friends. He's an offensive line guy, and I'm an offensive line guy, so we had a lot in common and as far as philosophies go, and we would bounce ideas off each other's heads. And he just happened to call me up one day and asked me if I would be interested in making a move that Coach Jay Walls was a friend of his, had just gotten hired at Navarre High School, and my first response was, well, where is Navarre? I'd never heard of it.
That was mine, too, when I moved down here in 91.
And he told me that it was, near Pensacola and Destin and the Fort Walton area. And so I knew where that area was. And so he told me that Coach Walls was needing an offensive line coach, and Coach Ellensrath had told Coach Walls about me. And David called me up, and he gave me Coach Walls' number, so I called Coach Walls up and talked with him for a few minutes, and he asked me to come down and interview, and so I came down and interviewed, and then got hired a few weeks later. So, and I must say it was the best move I've ever made.
Well, I know you've shared a story with me before about Coach Rick from the University of Georgia, and if you could expand on a little bit for our listening audience about the relationship that he has with the people that come and work with his camp.
He is Coach Rick is as genuine a man as you'll meet. There is no other side to Coach Rick, as you hear. Some people say he is. What you see is what you get, pretty much. And very strong Christian man, and steeped in those Christian values, and has raised his family that way, and instills those values in his players and his coaches at the University of Georgia. And his brother-in-law is a guy named Kevin Hines. And Kevin, at one time, was the team chaplain for the University of Georgia, and now he is over campus ministries at UGA. But Kevin and I developed a relationship through working at the camps also. And through Kevin, I got to know Mark Richt. And I know at one point in my life, going through a very difficult situation, I have two older sons with my first wife. One is 19 and one's 15. And I remember the summer of '06, I had just gone through a very painful divorce. Very bitter divorce, and as I was at camp, Kevin had shared that with Coach Rick, that I was going through a hard time, and I know Coach Rick had, at the end of camp, he'd asked me to stop by his office before I headed back to Alabama, and so I stopped by his office and he told me that Kevin had shared with him, my situation, that he had been praying for me and my family, and he had reached behind his desk and pulled out 2 University of Georgia football helmets that he had autographed to my 2 sons. So when Dad comes home with 2 football helmets from University of Georgia, my 2 sons were ecstatic. And I'm an Alabama fan at heart, and but my 2 sons now, I guess they're lifelong Georgia Bulldogs.
I don't blame them. But there was a night after, I believe it was your state title championship, and you were in the office late at night, and you got a phone call from
Mark Richt. I was actually at that time I was, and this was in 06 also. I was coaching wrestling. Also, I was a head wrestling coach at Athens High School, and the 2 seasons kind of overlap a little bit. So I was coaching football from, say, 3:30 until 6 o'clock, 6:30, and then I was having wrestling practice from, say, 7 to 9. So it was some very late nights.
Most definitely.
So I was trying to get my wrestlers prepared for the upcoming season. Well, we were fortunate enough in 06 that we won Athens High School won the 5A state championship in Alabama. We beat Eufaula High School 10-7 on a very, very bitter cold night in December. I think kickoff temperature was 16 degrees. We played in Legion Field in Birmingham, and it was a heck of a football game, and we were very fortunate to win. But anyway, I didn't really have a lot of time to enjoy it because the next weekend I was going to a wrestling tournament in Oxford, Alabama. So I had to get my wrestling team ready, and we drove to Oxford on that next Friday, and got the kids at the hotel and got them bedded down and had curfew check. And my bus driver and I went across the street to a Lone Star Steakhouse to eat dinner. And as we were going, my cell phone rang, and I recognized the area code as being North Georgia, 706 area code. And but I didn't recognize the number, so I answered the phone and said hello, and this is Coach Greenhall. And I hear, Coach Greenhall, I understand that you guys just won the 5A Alabama State Football Championship. And I said, yes, we did. And he said, well, I just wanted to say congratulations and how very proud of you and for you that I am. And then there was that awkward silence for a few seconds, and he was like, you don't know who this is, do you? And I was like, no, actually I don't. And then I heard this laughter in the background, and I recognized the laugh as being Kevin Hines, as we call him, Chappie. And then the voice says, well, this is Mark Richt. And I was blown away by that. And I was like, man, I never want to delete this phone call. Mark Richt called me, congratulating me on winning the state championship.
That's a great story. And I fell in love with Coach Richt a long time ago when he was in the movie. And just his love for Christ and everything is just quite impressive in a day of this age where not too many people voice it out loud. And he is definitely a stalwart for Christ. And we've already talked about what brought you down here and your health issues from earlier in the year. During the summer, the guys have been getting into shape, but we've had a couple minor.
Hopefully you've enjoyed my interview with Coach Greenhoff from 2015 as a Sunday afternoon in the locker room at Navarre High School. And we're going to go ahead and head out to commercial break. We're attributing to offensive line coach Greg Greenhaw as he will coach his 300th game on Friday night as the Raiders will host their rivals, Choctaw Indians, coming to town, and always a great matchup between these two teams. As we come back from commercial break, I'll have Navarre Press sports writer Brian Lester with me here on Irish Bill's Twist on Sports.
Craig Culver of Culver's. Before farm to table, before field to fork, there was just good, wholesome food. Grown by America's farm families, prepared fresh at Culver's, and always served with a smile. We still cook every Butterburger to order using fresh 100% Midwest beef and craft our frozen custard right in the restaurant using family farm fresh dairy. So thank you, farmers. Welcome to Delicious.
Great teams have great support. The Navarre Raiders have one of the best support organizations, the Navarre Raider Quarterback Club. All the members see to it that the Raiders have all available necessities to keep the Raiders on track, whether it's seeing to it they are properly fed, have good transportation, or making sure that all Raider fans can hear all the exciting Navarre Raider football action. The Navarre Raider Quarterback Club is there to make it happen. Thanks, Navarre Raider Quarterback Club, for your support of your winning Navarre Raiders on JockJive.com. Are you a friend of JockJive on Facebook? Do you follow us on Twitter? Have you subscribed to our YouTube channel? If you aren't, don't, and haven't, please do. We are growing exponentially and want you to keep up with us. Plus, we want to stay in touch with you. So go to the homepage of JockJive.com to like us, follow us, and subscribe on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. We'll jock and roll together. Have you always wanted to just escape? How about a perfect cruise getaway? Or maybe an adventure to Europe or Hawaii? How about an all-inclusive resort? Then you need to call Cruise Planner's qualified vacation planner, Judy Bruce, today. She is a full-service agent, ready to plan your escape. Enjoy dinner at sea, live entertainment, and fun activities. Visit exotic destinations, Alaska, Europe, Belize, all in the comfort of a cruise or land package. Cruise Planners is your land and cruise experts. Judy Bruce will plan your dream vacation. Cruise Planners offers great prices with all the extras. Ask about the military or senior discounts. Call Judy Bruce at 828-837-8399. Find her on Facebook at Judy Bruce Cruise Planners or online at dandelionsjourneytravel.com. Email judy.bruce@cruiseplanners.com. University Lending Group, located in Harvest Village, is Navarre's local mortgage lender. If buying, selling, or building a dream home is in your future, you need to contact University Lending Group. Jennifer Gomes and Stacy Wright are the loan specialists who have the experience to take you step by step to make your buying, building, or selling experience smooth. See University at 752 Navarre Parkway, Suite 56, or call 850-396-0322. JockJive.com. We are literally taking the world by storm. Last year, more than 3,000 cities worldwide turned into our coverage of football, baseball, softball, basketball, volleyball. From T-ball to the NCAA Division I athletics, JockJive crews have traveled this nation to provide you the finest in sports coverage. So the next time you need the spotlight glaring on your sports venture, think JockJive.com. Maybe not the only internet sports channel, but the best one. Ursula Householder of Caldwell Banker Residential Real Estate is your householder in Navarre. Buying or selling, Ursula will make it easy. Ursula moved here almost 20 years ago and fell in love with the white sandy beaches. She has raised her children in Navarre, went to study at universities with academic scholarships, and both are successful adults. Ursula is a big supporter of the Navarre Raiders. Ursula has been a realtor since 2003, and Caldwell Banker Residential Real Estate offers her the most advanced tools available in the industry. Whether you are a first-time home buyer or a savvy investor, she will negotiate a deal for you. For a free buyer consultation, a free comparable market analysis of your home, and to see if you qualify for one of the rewards programs, call Ursula Householder at 850-642-5711. Send an email to ursula.householder@floridamoves.com or go to householderhomes.com. Caldwell Banker Residential Real Estate is a subsidiary of NRT LLC. Lux Solar Salon and Spa is an Aveda salon, connecting beauty, environment, and well-being. The salon is located in Navarre off Highway 98 at Ortega. The team at Lux Solis specializes in hair design, color, botanical hair therapy, styling, skincare, makeup, facials, body treatments, and massage therapy. Spa packages are available for a fabulous Aveda experience. Bridal services are also available with advance notice. Aveda products are cruelty-free, and nothing is ever tested on animals. Lux Solis schedules appointments 6 days a week. Find us on Facebook at Lux Solis Salon and Spa. Call 939-9229.
Welcome back to Culver's here in downtown Navarre. I'm Irish Bill, and this is Irish Bill's Twist on Sports. We're here in week 3, and I have a special guest coming in this week, and I would like to welcome Navarre sports writer Brian Lester.
Hey, Bill, how's it going tonight?
It's going great. Well, I know a little bit about you and where you come from and everything, but a lot of people out there in our listening audience may not. So give me a little bit of your background, where you grew up, how you got into broadcast writing, and go from there.
So I'm originally from Illinois. Grew up about outside, a couple hours outside Chicago, in Rockford. And then went to school at Eastern Illinois, and that's where I got into journalism because we had a daily paper at our college. So got into it that way, and I've been to a few places in Virginia and Carolina and Ohio, and now I'm down here in Florida.
Well, how long have you been writing now?
Just in general?
In general.
About 20 years now.
20
yeah.
years.
Yep.
Well, I know this has been a really good year for you at Navarre Press. Can you tell us a little bit about the awards that you recently brought home? Yeah,
I was able to win first place for a feature story on Michael and his rehab, and the Andrews Institute really helped that out by letting me go behind the scenes and watch Michael rehab, at the Institute. And I think I won for the news story. Unfortunately, a loss for Navarre against Gulf Breeze, but it turned out to be a good game story. Sometimes those make for the best stories, however those games go. But and then obviously our sports section was first place again, and we on our fall sports guide. So won a couple of awards there. So that was nice.
Yeah, I know it's tough for sometimes. I know that you are a pretty humble young man, and as am I, and it's tough for us to pat ourselves on the back, and normally we don't like to. But when was your first inkling of you wanted to be a sports writer?
I think in high school I never wrote for the school paper or anything, and I always liked journalism and English. I was always good in English and literature and just writing in general. Papers were never an issue to write. So I decided to just give it a try. I think I had seen the movie All President's Men with when the Washington Post brought down Richard Nixon and the Watergate scandal. So I thought, wow, that's pretty cool, But my first story I wrote was I did a column on the hockey lockout in '94 when the NHL was locked out, and just wrote about it, and I put the column under the door of the newspaper office at the junior college I was at the time, and they liked it, and I just started writing sports from there.
So far in all of your writing, what has been your favorite place that you have worked, and who have you've covered? Who is the best place where you've been?
Well, I think covering when I was in Ohio in Findlay, which is where Ben Roethlisberger's from. Most people probably heard of Ben, but the University of Findlay was a Division II school, and in 2009 they won the national championship in basketball. They were undefeated, 36-0, wire to wire, number one in the country from start to finish. They had beaten Ohio State the year before in an exhibition game, but they won the championship that next season. And it's hard to top that as far as an event to cover because they won it on a three-pointer at the buzzer in overtime. Nice. Tyler Evans hit that three, and Cal Poly Pomona. But I saw Phillip Rivers play when he was in NC State. Wes Welker play a bowl game, and when he was at Texas Tech, because I covered East Carolina for a while. Obviously the Navarre Raiders the last couple of years, they've had some great runs in football, especially last year. Coming up a win short of state. So I've seen a lot of good athletes. Meet Barry Larkin, some of the guys that have come through the Wahoos that are now at the majors. It's been pretty cool to see.
One of my favorite all-time baseball players,
yeah,
Barry Larkin.
Barry's a good guy.
And he's been great for the area in Pensacola and with the AA franchise they have out there. I, too, am also a Midwesterner. Grew up in northeastern Indiana, and I was actually stationed in Ohio for 7 years, where I met my wife, Brenda Kay, in Dayton, Ohio.
Yep.
And so very familiar with the sports scene throughout the state of Ohio. And I moved down here in 91. Navarre didn't even have a school then. And, in fact, they weren't even a thought. Well, in 96, they had their first freshman class. 2000 was their first graduating class, but 1999 was their first varsity football season. And then who would have known just, 11 years later in 2010, they would go to the third round of the state playoffs, lost a tough triple overtime game to Lincoln. But it's funny how as you cover teams and you as a sports writer, me as a broadcaster, is where moments in time come back to you, and you can place yourself right where it was happening. It was happening, and that's the one thing I love about sports broadcasting. You probably do as a writer, is that you can go back. I can go back and I can recall plays that I can look at the play. There's the last play in Tallahassee against Lincoln when Navarre had 1st and 10 at Lincoln's 30-yard line. 2 timeouts, 72 seconds on the clock.
Yep.
I mean, there's a moment to me that stood still as they called the play, and what a night Dwayne Carter was having up to that point. I would have just turned around and handed the ball off to him 3 straight times, set up for about a 30-yard Stephen Householder kick, and go home. Well, Colton Kane, the quarterback at the time for Navarre, was running the play that was called. He ran to the right. The right tackle had the defensive end, quartered off to the middle of the field. The receiver had the corner pushed to the sideline. And there was about a 15-yard hole for Colton Kaner to run it. And I'm on the air, and I'm saying, run the ball. He stops, he pulls up, and sitting in the middle of the end zone is now a starting running back for the Baltimore Ravens. Javorius Allen, who played at USC.
Okay.
He was a safety at Lincoln High School, one of the best safeties in the state of Florida. I said, do not throw the ball, because he baited him. And he threw that ball up, and they intercepted it. Navarre stopped him. They went to triple overtime, had a couple chances to win. But we put ourselves in those spots, and it's just something that remains in our thoughts and as we go on. And I think that's one thing is we're missing as sports writers and the broadcasters these days is the storytelling.
Yeah.
And there's not the storytelling of what there was when you and I were growing up. The great broadcasters, Joe Buck and all those, for 60-some years out in the Dodgers with Vince Scully, and Detroit Tigers and their broadcaster. The storytelling's gone, and that's one thing I try to do. And I noticed in your writing, you would not win awards if you weren't recognized for your talent, and I think you fall into the same boot that I do.
Yeah, you always got to try to tell those stories. I mean, like when Navarre lost to Gulf Breeze last year, to see the locker room after the game and to see the fans and to see, or even going back to the Tate playoff game a couple years ago and they lost that one, and to kind of capture that moment a little bit. And just like with the Wahoos won their championship this past weekend, the closer who ended up closing out the 11th and 12th inning and getting the win, he was with the Braves in 2015, and he had 2 Tommy Johns. He got suspended for 80 games for PEDs, and there he was closing out the championship for the Wahoos, and maybe that'll launch him to another chance in the majors. But it's always
you can
cool.
only hope.
Yep.
I'm also fortunate to be as a volunteer for the Pensacola Ice Flyers as a goal judge, so I've got to see 3 championships up close, especially the last one. I was in the net when the Ice Flyers scored with 1/10 of a second, and I turned on the red light as they sweep Peoria Rivermen that season. But those moments, and I've been, as my dad will tell you, I've been a sports nut my whole life. And but as we go on in this season, it seems like the season's it started, but here we are 2 weeks in, actually 3 weeks in. We're 2-0,
Yep.
and a much different team than last year. Lost a lot of talent on both sides of the ball, I know you've had plenty of opportunities to talk with Coach Walls. Going into this season, what is he looking at as his goals? And
he's told the guys, about being relentless this year. Kind of moved away from the unfinished business, but still, obviously, their goal is to be the best of all time. He harped on that all summer, and he still tells the guys now we want to be the best of all time in Navarre High, and obviously that means winning a state championship, which is a pretty lofty goal. But I mean, he feels like they still got talent. They lost a lot of talent, obviously, especially with Michael Carter losing him. But they got good running backs and guys like Omari and Chris, and they've got Dante Wright, who's obviously, he seems like he's going to be the next big star in this area. With what he's done up to his junior year, and they've got a veteran quarterback in Sage, and good defense with guys like Josh and Cade, and it seems like Coach Walls believes this team can be very good, and that offensive line too. They've been
led by Daryl Hicks, and
yeah.
as I call him, if you follow my broadcast, I call our line the Big Bubbas, and have called them for quite a year. And Daryl Hickson, that whole offensive line. You look at the center. You have Daniel. I always forget.
Oh, Boss.
Yep. At center, he's about 5'7", about 170 tough pounds.
Yeah.
The kid is a tough kid.
Yep.
But after that, the two guards, you got Bryson Garner, you have Daryl Hickson, you have Aaron Smith, and Brandon Herbert on the offensive line. They bring a lot of size, and they open up a lot of great holes.
They do.
For the Raiders. In the backfield, you have Sage Chambers at quarterback, Amari Green, Chris Williams, and I like this young talent, Jaden Antonio. Has stepped up when he's given a chance, and of course with Dante running the jet sweeps. And then you got receivers. You got good-sized receivers, and Bryson Brewer and Sam Register.
Yep.
And then you moved over the defensive side of the ball, and the defensive line. Coach Walls likes to rotate, he's got a fresh lineup out there. And with the addition of James Seagrass, he has been a big help on the defensive line. Your linebackers are pretty set. Still waiting on the return of Caleb Dale. I'm not sure much longer it's going to be.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I haven't heard how long, but hopefully he'll get back at some point, this year, because he's a veteran guy too that could really help that defense out as you go later into the year.
And looking at the others, you got some young talent back in the defensive backfield. They lost Nathan Cruz in the first game this season to I believe it was a separated shoulder. But they have some guys back there. Dante playing both ways as well. But Gabriel Davis has stepped up, and Cameron Thomas, they both have stepped up in the first couple of games. Your punter this year, Kyle Hickman, new to the football program, he's a solid young man that played goalie for the Navarre Raiders soccer team. And then the kicker is new to the Raiders, transferred in from Georgia. I hope I've been pronouncing his last name. I have Kevin Taish.
That's how I think it is, but I haven't asked him to. But I hope that's right.
And that young man's got a solid leg, excellent kickoffs, and got plenty of distance on field goals. And they got some depth on this team as well. The JV team off to a 2-0 start. They play again tomorrow night at Choctaw. Unfortunately, the freshmen are kind of finding their way. They lost a tough one last night, 40-23 at Choctaw. But great program, and Coach Jay Walls, he's in his 6th year already. It just doesn't seem possible that he's been here that long after he replaced Coach Chad Lashley. But he's doing great things here at Navarre.
Yeah, he's up to 52 wins now, I think.
52-13.
So he's doing his job.
Most definitely. And but as we're getting ready to head out for our next commercial break segment, I want to thank you for coming on and talking a little bit about Navarre. What things do you have going on with the Navarre Press right now?
Just as far as coverage.
Any stories coming up as far as other than football?
Yeah, well, I was out at the swim meet today at the Y, so that obviously Coach Moore always does a good job with that group.
Yes, she does.
I believe the boys golf team is they're golfing tomorrow at Hidden Creek. They had a couple of matches I think thrown off because of the weather and the cancellations, but they're supposed to golf out tomorrow at Hidden Creek.
I love playing that course.
Yeah.
Not very good, but I like playing.
So,
And any other stories, newsworthy stories that you're working on?
Nothing big this week. Last week a few weeks ago, obviously I got to talk to Keith Brahms, who a pilot for Delta.
Excellent article. I read it last night. Yeah. That was an awesome article.
Yeah, so he's a good guy.
That story brought back a lot of memories to me, and I was on after that shortly about a week later. I was on a plane over to Oman and Pakistan, where I spent the next 3.5 months, and but that was the reason that we do what we do, why we train, and Keith saying that he would have put the uniform back on. I truly believe, knowing Keith as well as I do, and him and his wife Bridget, great people and great in this community. But I'd like to thank you for coming on tonight. Maybe we can have you on back later as the season progresses.
Hey, no problem.
Appreciate it.
Hey,
ladies and gentlemen, that's been Brian Lester, Navarre sports writer here in downtown Navarre on Irish Bill's Twist on Sports. We're going to head out for commercial break. Be back with our third segment. We'll be back right after this.
Craig Culver of Culver's.
Before farm to table, before field to fork, there was just good, wholesome food. Grown by America's farm families, prepared fresh at Culver's, and always served with a smile. We still cook every Butterburger to order using fresh 100% Midwest beef and craft our frozen custard right in the restaurant using family farm fresh dairy. So thank you, farmers. Welcome to Delicious.
Great teams have great support. The Navarre Raiders have one of the best support organizations, the Navarre Raider Quarterback Club. All the members see to it that the Raiders have all available necessities to keep the Raiders on track, whether it's seeing to it they are properly fed, have good transportation, or making sure that all Raider fans can hear all the exciting Navarre Raider football action. The Navarre Raider Quarterback Club is there to make it happen. Thanks, Navarre Raider Quarterback Club, for your support of your winning Navarre Raiders on JockJive.com. Are you a friend of JockJive on Facebook? Do you follow us on Twitter? Have you subscribed to our YouTube channel? If you aren't, don't, and haven't, please do. We are growing exponentially and want you to keep up with us. Plus, we want to stay in touch with you. So go to the homepage of JockJive.com to like us, follow us, and subscribe on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. We'll jock and roll together. Have you always wanted to just escape? How about a perfect cruise getaway? Or maybe an adventure to Europe or Hawaii? How about an all-inclusive resort? Then you need to call Cruise Planners Qualified Vacation Planner Judy Bruce today. She is a full-service agent ready to plan your escape. Enjoy dinner at sea, live entertainment, and fun activities. Visit exotic destinations, Alaska, Europe, Belize, all in the comfort of a cruise or land package. Cruise Planners is your land and cruise experts. Judy Bruce will plan your dream vacation. Cruise Planners offers great prices with all the extras. Ask about the military or senior discounts. Call Judy Bruce at 828-837-8399. Find her on Facebook at Judy Bruce Cruise Planners or online at dandelionsjourneytravel.com. Email judy.bruce@cruiseplanners.com. University Lending Group, located in Harvest Village, is Navarre's local mortgage lender. If buying, selling, or building a dream home is in your future, you need to contact University Lending Group. Jennifer Gomes and Stacy Wright are the loan specialists who have the experience to take you step by step to make your buying, building, or selling experience smooth. See University at 752 Navarre Parkway, Suite 56, or call 850-396-0322. Ursula Householder of Caldwell Banker Residential Real Estate is your householder in Navarre. Buying or selling, Ursula will make it easy. Ursula moved here almost 20 years ago and fell in love with the white sandy beaches. She has raised her children in Navarre, went to study at universities with academic scholarships, and both are successful adults. Ursula is a big supporter of the Navarre Raiders. Ursula has been a realtor since 2003, and Caldwell Banker Residential Real Estate offers her the most advanced tools available knowledgeable in the industry. Whether you are a first-time home buyer or a savvy investor, she will negotiate a deal for you. For a free buyer consultation, a free comparable market analysis of your home, and to see if you qualify for one of the rewards programs, call Ursula Householder at 850-642-5711. Send an email to ursula.householder@floridamoves.com or go to householderhomes.com. Coldwell Banker Residential Real Estate is a subsidiary of NRT LLC. Lux Solar Salon and Spa is an Aveda salon, connecting beauty, environment, and well-being. The salon is located in Navarre off Highway 98 at Ortega. The team at Lux Solis specializes in hair design, color, botanical hair therapy, styling, skincare, makeup, facials, body treatments, and massage therapy. Spa packages are available for a fabulous Aveda experience. Bridal services are also available with advance notice. Aveda products are cruelty-free, and nothing is ever tested on animals. Lux Solis schedules appointments 6 days a week. Find us on Facebook at Lux Solis Salon and Spa. Call 939-9229.
Welcome back to Irish Bill's Twist on Sports. We're here in week 3 at Culver's. An awesome place to eat. So if you're down on Highway 98 and you're getting a hankering for something to eat, whether it's dinner or dessert, head on down to Culver's, stop in, and they will fulfill all your hunger needs here at Culver's in downtown Navarre. I'd like to thank our other sponsors, our new sponsors this year, Judy Bruce and Cruise Planners and Lux Solar Salon. And our heavy hitters, as we like to welcome back each and every year, Ursula Householder, University of Lending Group, and Navarre Quarterback Club. Without them, we could not bring you Navarre Raider football on Friday night on JockJive.com, as well as Irish Bill's Twist on Sports here each and every Wednesday night from Culver's. This is my 4th year doing this show, and I love every minute of it, and I look forward to many years to come. And it is my 9th year broadcasting Navarre Raider football. And you know what? There's no better place to be than in the booth broadcasting a Navarre Raider football game. And let's get back to our show now. One of my favorite things that I do, besides my top favorite, is my Where Are They Now? Former Navarre players. But this is my Super 7 power rankings here in the Panhandle of Florida, and we'll also go over my Star of the Week. There was 13 games that were canceled last week due to the evacuees coming to our area and requiring shelter from Hurricane Irma. So we missed out on 13 games last week. So there's minimal games, and let's go right to our top 7. No movement here at all. Navarre stays on top at 2-0. Niceville, even though they went on the road to Westlake, Texas, and suffered a big defeat, they remain my number 2. West Florida stays in at the 3 spot at 3-0. They beat the Iberville, Mississippi, 34-26. They jumped to 3-0 on the season. Gulf Breeze at number 4 at 2-0. Crestview at number 5, 2-0. Tate at number 6, 1-1. Pine Forest at 1-0. Our honorable mentions go to Fort Walton Beach. They're 2-0. Mosley 3-0 on the season. Escambia 1-1. Washington 2-1. Gadsden County 1-1, and Baker 2-0. My Star of the Week comes from Port St. Joe this week. Quarterback Josh Butts. He had 7 of 9 passing for 241 yards, 3 touchdowns, and also carried the ball 12 times for 96 yards and a score. And he also was 3 of 4 on extra points in a 35-20 win over Bay High. Congratulations goes out to Josh Butts, my Star of the Week from Port St. Joe. There are other noteworthy performances. I had to scale back a little bit on my criteria. Normally, on a quarterback, you have to pass for at least 125 yards and 200 yards combined between rushing and passing. Running backs, you have to carry at least for 100 yards in a game. Wide receivers, 100 yards in receptions. Defense, they have to have at least 10 tackles, but we had to alter that back just a little bit this week. Not as many games this week to choose from. We even added special teams this week and our kickers and punters. So let's go to the quarterbacks. Other noteworthy performances. Another good night for Trevor Jordan as he passed for 254 yards and 3 TDs. Arnold's Cade Ledman passed for 166 yards. Mosley's Mike Maddox 140 yards passing and 3 TDs. And a Bay quarterback Blaine Watkins 136 yards passing and a score. Our running backs, freshman from Freeport, K1 Powell, 22 carries, 179 yards, and a TD, 1 reception for 7 yards, and he also had an interception on the defensive side of the ball. Mosley running back John Miller, 21 carries, 145 yards. Mosley running back Darian Gansey, 11 carries, 142 yards, and a score. Holmes County Michael Paul, 138 yards and 2 TDs. And West Florida running back Devin Abrams, 118 yards rushing and a score. On over to the defensive side of the ball, but not yet. We're going to go to the receivers where we have 3 notable performances from last Friday night. Port St. Joe, Cameron Harmon had 2 receptions for 134 yards and 2 TDs, 75 and 59 yards. West Florida wide receiver Keyshawn Helton, 10 receptions, 108 yards and 3 TDs. And Mosley wide receiver Josh Lingenfelter, 3 receptions, 80 yards, and 2 scores. Now over to the defensive side of the ball. Holmes County, Kevin Martinez with 13 tackles, as well as his teammate Jawan Sack with 13 as well. Bay Dalton Rutherford, 12 tackles, 6 solos, 6 assists. Port St. Joe, Bubba Ash, 11 tackles, 5 solos, 6 assists. Port St. Joe's Keon Zaccaro, 11 tackles, 6 solo, 5 assists, a sack and a tackle for loss. And at Bay, Mike Sims, 9 tackles, 7 solos, 2 assists, and a tackle for loss. Arnold's Terry Byers, 8 tackles, 7 solos, and an interception. And at Bay, Shamar Hill, 8 tackles, 7 solos, and 3 tackles for loss. Our special teams this week, as I added that this week, all 3 hail from Niceville. Taylor Scarborough, 7 kickoff returns for 116 yards. He had a 16.6 average. Jack White, 3 kickoff returns for 103 yards for a 34.2 average. And Niceville defensive back Wanye Thomas, 1 punt return for 90 yards and a lone score for Niceville in their loss on Friday night. Our punters and kickers, Arnold punter Dylan Gandy, 5 punts, a 40.4 average, 1 inside the 20. And he had 1 kickoff, which also produced a touchback. Holmes County punter Tyler Lee, 4 punts for a 37.8 average, 1 inside the 20. And Arnold kicker Javier Elias, 1 of 1 extra points, 1 of 1 field goals for 24 yards. Well, that rounds out our quick Irish Bills Super 7 Panhandle Power Rankings after Week 3. At the top, Navarre, followed by Niceville, West Florida, Gulf Breeze, Crestview, Tate, and Pine Forest. And our star of the week comes from Port St. Joe, quarterback Josh Butts. Congratulations, Josh, as you are Irish Bills star of the week for this week. Now let's move over to the schedule for this coming week, and then we'll go right into our picks here as I'm by myself as Brian has exited. And I will once again like to thank Brian Lester from Navarre Press. He's a sports writer covering all of Navarre sports here in the Navarre community, and he does a great job. If you get a chance I believe every Wednesday or Thursday the paper comes out. I believe it's Thursday, and Brian does a great job, covers all the sports here at Navarre High School. And this is also a night where we are throwing a tribute to Navarre offensive line coach Greg Greenhaw, as he will be coaching his 300th game this Friday night as he roams the side. That's roaming the sideline for a lot of games there, Coach. And I'd also like to add on that Greg has been trying to lose some weight, and so far he's lost over 60 pounds. Greg, great job. Keep up the outstanding work. And you're looking mighty slim there, my friend. And now let's move on to this week's schedule. After we talk a little bit about last week's results, we did have 14 games. Both Mike Martino and I both went 11-3, and we've actually tied every week. And after 3 weeks, we're 47-14. And Mike missed the Niceville game last week. I missed the Washington-Pensacola game. We both lost. We both took Arnold against Walton, and Walton won that one. Then then Mike lost the Port St. Joe at Bay game. I took Port St. Joe. Mike took Bay. And my last loss was Freeport at Holmes County. I took Holmes County. Actually, I won that one. Mike actually lost that one, and that is the difference. Both won 11 and 3 last week, 47 and 14 on the season. I'd like to thank my good Joe Settles checking in tonight from Niceville. Thanks, Joe, for checking in each and every week over there, and he's watching this year on JockJive.com. Thanks, Joe, as always. And now let's get to our schedule for this week. And then I'll go over who I think will prevail. Yeah, now Choctaw 0-2 at 2-0 Navarre. I'm going with the Raiders there at home. Fort Wall Beach off to a 2-0 start, looking to make it 3-0, but they're going to a tough place to play over in Crawfordsville, Florida, to take on Wakulla. I'm going with the War Eagles in that one. Wakulla 2-1, Fort Wall Beach 2-0. Lake Area New Tech from Louisiana, they're 0-4 on the season, and they're coming back to Niceville. And I don't know if you've ever been to a Niceville game or watched these Eagles play, but after a loss, which there's usually not a whole lot of losses out of this team, out of this program, I wouldn't want to play them the next week. And Lake Area New Tech, welcome to the Eagles' nest this Friday night, and I'm taking Niceville all over Lake Area New Tech in that one. Got a great one coming up. Pine Forest 1-0 at Gulf Breeze 2-0, and I am going with the road team in this one, as the Pine Forest Eagles will be invading the splash zone over at Gulf Breeze High. And what a great job that Bobby Clayton's done in his second year over there at Gulf Breeze. 9-2 last year, 2-0 this year, 11-2 overall for Coach Bobby Clayton. But I'm going with Pine Forest and Coach McDonald in his first year at Pine Forest as he replaces Jerry Pollard out there, who's been there for quite a while. Jerry's still the athletic director out there at Pine Forest. I'm going with Pine Forest in the upset on the road at Gulf Breeze. Washington 2-0 at 2-1 at Pace 0-2, and Pace off to a slow start here in the first couple of games, and I think Washington will take that one. Mosley 3-0 at West Florida as they get District 1-4A underway. Both teams 3-0, and I'm going with the home team of West Florida in a shootout at West Florida and Woodham Middle School over there. Crestview at Tampa Catholic has been canceled, as the game was supposed to be played down in Tampa Catholic, and that game has been canceled. Escambia at Lincoln. Lincoln off to an 0-2 start. I'm going with the Gators on the road. They're 1-1. Milton 1-1 at Catholic, 0-2. But this is a tough Catholic team with the Abram Smiley at running back, and he does a great job in the backfield there at Catholic. I'm going with the Crusaders to get their first victory on the season. Pensacola 1-2 at Tate, 1-1. Tate coming off a tough loss against West Florida, and they'll get back into the winning ways as I take the Aggies of Tate High. Bay 1-2 at Arnold, 1-2. Both teams in the District 1-5A action, and I'm going to go with Bay on the road. It's not a very far road they have to travel as they go across Panama City to Arnold High School, and they are 1-2 Bay at 1-2 Arnold, and I'm going with the Tornadoes of Bay High. Baker 2-0 at Rutherford, 1-2. Baker off to another great start as they finished last year 14-0. Benefit of the forfeited loss in the state championship game to Pahokee, and but they could not bring the state title, but they are warranted with a victory. So they finished and now have a 16-game winning streak heading into this game, and I have them taking out a depleted roster of Rutherford. Florida and A&M off to a great 2-0 start. They're on the road at North Bay Haven, and North Bay Haven comes in at 1-1, and I'm going with the Baby Rattlers in this one. They're 2-0 on the season. Gadsden County 1-1 at a very, very tough Rickards team. Rickards 2-0, Gadsden County 1-1, and Rickards has a chance to go a long way in the playoffs this year. So I'm going with Rickards in that one. Walton 1-2 at Freeport 1-2. Both teams kind of struggling, trying to find their way. I'm going with Walton. They fresh off the 19-10 victory over Arnold last week. Blountstown 1-1 at Northview 1-2, so they're going to make the long jaunt to Bratt, Florida, to take on the Chiefs of Northview. And I'm going with Blountstown in this one. Blountstown also has a chance to go a long way. Chipley 3-0, going to Vernon to face the Yellow Jackets 1-1. I'm going Chipley to stay unbeaten, to go 4-0. Lighthouse Christian out of Pensacola, and they will be making the road to Cottondale, and that will be 2-1 Lighthouse Christian at Cottondale, and I think Cottondale will be just a little bit too much for that. So I'm taking Cottondale in that one. The Childs 0-2 at Florida High, 1-2. Florida High, a good team, but they were humiliated against Madison County last Thursday night, 49-6. But I'm going to have them bounce back and take out Childs. Liberty County 0-2 at Franklin County, 0-3. A battle of winless teams. I'm going with Liberty County on the road. Holmes County 2-1 at Graceville, 0-2. Graceville looking for their first victory. They will not find this week, as Holmes County should take that one. Weewa 0-3 at Jay 0-2. I look for Jay to get on the board. The Royals with their first win on the season. South Walton at Mariana. South Walton 2-1 up in Class 4A for the first time this year. They're taking on Mariana 0-2, and I'm going with the Seahawks on the road. Sneeds 0-1 at Bozeman 1-2. Going with the Bucks at home. Fort White 3-0 at Taylor County 1-1, and I'm going with Fort White on the road to stay unbeaten. So there's your high school games. It's time to move over to our college games. And Mike has a two-game lead. He had a two-game lead going into last week, and we picked the same amount of games. We both went 15-3. Mike 35-5 on the season so far through the first 2 weeks. I'm 33-7. So our games from last week, we both took Notre Dame. My Irish kind of let me down there a little bit. I took North Carolina. Mike took Louisville, so I lost that one. We both lost the Oklahoma at Ohio State game, and Mike lost the Stanford at USC game. I took USC. Mike took Stanford. 15-3 on the week. 35-5 for Mike through the first 2 weeks. 33-7 for Irish Bill. And let's move over to our games for this week, and then we'll head out to our last segment of the night. Our break prior to the last segment of the night. And the games for this week: Illinois 2-0 at USF. I'm going with Illinois in the upset in that one. Air Force 1-0 at Michigan 2-0. Going with the Wolverines at home. Oklahoma State on the road at Pitt. 1-1 at Pittsburgh. 2-0 Oklahoma State. Fresh off victory over University of South Alabama in rather convincing fashion. And I'm going with Oklahoma State in that one. UCLA 2-0 at Memphis. Should be a good game, but I'm going with the Bruins on the road. Number 10, Wisconsin travels out to Utah to take on Brigham Young. The Badgers 2-0 on the young season. 1-2 Brigham Young. I'm going with the Badgers in a run game on the road. Number 16, Virginia Tech at East Carolina. Tech 2-0. Carolina 0-2. Going with the Hokies on the road. SMU 2-0 at number 20. TCU is also 2-0. The Horned Frogs at home. Big. Number 23, Tennessee, 2-0 at number 24, Florida, 0-1. And I've been going back and forth on this one. The Swamp is a tough place to play, and the Gators have had the Volunteers number for quite a few years. And, in fact, I believe they've won the last 19 out of 24 games against Tennessee. Originally I had picked Florida to win this game, but I think Tennessee's going to go in there and knock off the Gators this week. I know my daughter Brooke won't like that pick because she's a huge Gators fan. Mercer 1-1 at number 15, Auburn 1-1. Auburn all day in that one. Army 2-0 at number 8, Ohio State, fresh off that loss to Oklahoma. But I think the Buckeyes will have plenty in that game and take that one home. Oregon State 1-2 at number 21, Washington State 2-0. Going with Wazoo in that one. Tulane 1-1 at number 2, Oklahoma. They're 2-0. Going with the Sooners all day long. Colorado State 2-1 at number 1, Alabama. That game will be over by halftime. Alabama will increase to 3-0 on the season. Number 12, LSU at Mississippi State. Mississippi State has had LSU's number over the last few years, but I'm going with LSU, and they seem to be primed for another outstanding season down in Baton Rouge. And number 5, Penn State hosting Georgia State, 0-1 at 2-0. Penn State all day in that one. Sanford 2-0 at number 13 at Georgia, 2-0. The Bulldogs at home. Number 18, Kansas State on the road at Vanderbilt. Both teams 2-0. And that's a tough place to play in Vandy. But I'm going with Kansas State, the Wildcats, in that one. Number 3, Clemson, 2-0 at number 14, Louisville. What a matchup that will be, as you have a new quarterback in at Clemson, Kelly Bryant, against the former Heisman Trophy winner Lamar Jackson. And that should be a shootout there in Louisville. Texas 1-1 at number 4, USC. A matchup these teams have not played since the national championship game 11 years ago. And USC comes in 2-0, Texas 1-1, struggling a little bit. And I'm going with the Trojans. Big, or as President Trump would say, huge in that one. And Fresno State 1-1 at number 6, Washington. Washington all over Fresno State, fresh off a big loss to Alabama. Number 19, Stanford at San Diego State. Stanford 1-1, San Diego State 2-0. And I'm going with the Cardinal of Stanford University in that one. And there are your high school picks and games coming up for this week, as well as the college top 25 on JockJive.com. This is Irish Bill. And so far, through 2 weeks, Mike Martino leads the way at 35-5. Irish Bill 33-7. We're going to head out for commercial break before our last segment of the night. You have been watching Irish Bill's Twist on Sports. We'll be back after this commercial break.
Craig Culver of Culver's.
Before farm to table, before field to fork, there was just good, wholesome food. Grown by America's farm families, prepared fresh at Culver's, and always served with a smile. We still cook every Butterburger to order using fresh 100% Midwest beef and craft our frozen custard right in the restaurant using family farm fresh dairy. So thank you, farmers. Welcome to Delicious.
Great teams have great support. The Navarre Raiders have one of the best support organizations, the Navarre Raider Quarterback Club. All the members see to it that the Raiders have all available necessities to keep the Raiders on track, whether it's seeing to it they are properly fed, have good transportation, or making sure that all Raider fans can hear all the exciting Navarre Raider football action. The Navarre Raider Quarterback Club is there to make it happen. Thanks, Navarre Raider Quarterback Club, for your support of your winning Navarre Raiders on JockJive.com. Are you a friend of JockJive on Facebook? Do you follow us on Twitter? Have you subscribed to our YouTube channel? If you aren't, don't, and haven't, please do. We are growing exponentially and want you to keep up with us. Plus, stay in touch with you. So go to the homepage of JockJive.com to like us, follow us, and subscribe on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. We'll jock and roll together. Have you always wanted to just escape? How about a perfect cruise getaway? Or maybe an adventure to Europe or Hawaii? How about an all-inclusive resort? Then you need to call Cruise Planner's qualified vacation planner, Judy Bruce, today. She is a full-service agent, ready to plan your escape. Enjoy dinner at sea, live entertainment, and fun activities. Visit exotic destinations, Alaska, Europe, Belize, all in the comfort of a cruise or land package. Cruise Planners is your land and cruise experts. Judy Bruce will plan your dream vacation. Cruise Planners offers great prices with all the extras. Ask about the military or senior discounts. Call Judy Bruce at 828-837-8399. Find her on Facebook at Judy Bruce Cruise Planners or online at dandelionsjourneytravel.com. Email judy.bruce@cruiseplanners.com. University Lending Group, located in Harvest Village, is Navarre's local mortgage lender. If buying, selling, or building a dream home is in your future, you need to contact University Lending Group. Jennifer Gomes and Stacy Wright are the loan specialists who have the experience to take you step by step to make your buying, building, or selling experience smooth. See University at 752 Navarre Parkway, Suite 56, or call 850-396-0322. JockJive.com. We are literally taking the world by storm. Last year, more than 3,000 cities worldwide turned into our coverage of football, baseball, softball, basketball, volleyball. From T-ball to the NCAA Division I athletics, JockJive crews have traveled this nation to provide you the finest in sports coverage. So the next time you need the spotlight glaring on your sports venture, think JockJive.com. Maybe not the only internet sports channel, but the best one. Ursula Householder of Caldwell Banker Residential Real Estate is your householder in Navarre. Buying or selling, Ursula will make it easy. Ursula moved here almost 20 years ago and fell in love with the white sandy beaches. She has raised her children in Navarre, went to study at universities with academic scholarships, and both are successful adults. Ursula is a big supporter of the Navarre Raiders. Ursula has been a realtor since 2003, and Caldwell Banker Residential Real Estate offers her the most advanced tools available in the industry. Whether you are a first-time home buyer or a savvy investor, she will negotiate a deal for you. For a free buyer consultation, a free comparable market analysis of your home, and to see if you qualify for one of the rewards programs, call Ursula Householder at 850-642-5711. Send an email to ursula.householder@floridamoves.com or go to householderhomes.com. Caldwell Banker Residential Real Estate is a subsidiary of NRT LLC. Lux Solar Salon and Spa is an Aveda salon, connecting beauty, environment, and well-being. The salon is located in Navarre off Highway 98 at Ortega. The team at Lux Solis specializes in hair design, color, botanical hair therapy, styling, skincare, makeup, facials, body treatments, and massage therapy. Spa packages are available for a fabulous Aveda experience. Bridal services are also available with advance notice. Aveda products are cruelty-free, and nothing is ever tested on animals. Lux Solis schedules appointments 6 days a week. Find us on Facebook at Lux Solis Salon and Spa. Call 939-9229.
Welcome back to Irish Bill's Twist on Sports. We're here in week 3, and now it's time for my former Navarre Raiders. Where are they now? What this is every Navarre Raider that is currently playing at college or the pros, I try to follow and give you a status on what's happening with them each and every week in their games. And right now we have almost, I believe, 28 or 29 different Raiders playing at 22 different colleges, and one pro team with Jordan Leggett leading off tight end for the New York Jets. Unfortunately, Jordan did not play last week in their 21-12 loss to Buffalo. Next game up for them, they'll be at the Oakland Raiders this coming Sunday, the 17th at 3:05, and they'll be kicking off at Pacific time, actually 3:05 our time, and Jordan Leggett will hopefully get in. He's nursing an injury right now, so hopefully he'll be able to get in for that game. Lehigh wide receiver Gatlin Casey, he's a senior. They're 0-2 on the season. They lost a tough game this past weekend to Monmouth, 46-27. 5 receptions for Gatlin, 39 yards, a TD, 2 kickoff returns for 92 yards, along of 56 in that loss. Next game up for them against Yale this coming Saturday at 12:30. On the season, Gatlin with 10 receptions for 103 yards and 3 touchdowns, 7 kickoff returns for 219 yards, a 70. Actually, that is a 31.2 average for Gatlin Casey. Huntingdon defensive back Demetrius Brown, they're 1-1 on the season. He's a senior. 2 solo tackles and a 45-38 win over Birmingham Southern. Next game up for them will be against North Carolina Wesleyan this Saturday at 1 o'clock. On the season for Demetrius, 7 tackles, 5 solos, and 2 assists. His teammates, offensive lineman Chris Herring and John Honeycutt, played as well in the victory and a 1-1 on the season, and as well as freshman defensive lineman Mark Struck. He's with Huntingdon as well. So 4 Raiders playing for Huntingdon. And athletic director Mike Turk there is the brother of Navarre a Navarre individual, and Cindy Turk Freeze is her brother's the athletic director up there at Huntingdon College in Montgomery. And I don't know if you guys knew that. I just found that out this week. And also Millsaps College defensive lineman senior Jacob Kendall. They're 1-1 on the season. He had 5 tackles, 2 solo, 3 assists, and 1.5 tackles for loss, and half a sack in this week's last win at home. I forgot to put the score here. Next up for them is Trinity, Texas at home this Saturday at 1 p.m. kickoff. On the season for Jacob, 7 tackles, 4 solos, 3 assists, 2.5 tackles for loss, and 0.5 sacks. Kennesaw State defensive lineman Kyle Aerosmith, he's a redshirt sophomore playing for the Owls. They're 1-1 on the season. He had no stats in a 27-14 win over Tennessee Tech on Saturday. And next up for them is at Alabama State this Saturday at 7 p.m. kickoff. And on the season, no stats for Kyle. Moore Park College wide receiver Cameron Mayweather, he's a junior. They're 1-1 on the season. He had no stats in a 56-2 loss to El Camino. Next game for them will be at Long Beach this Saturday at 6 p.m. No stats on the young season for Cameron. Trinity Bible College wide receiver Alex Watley. They're 0-2 on the season. Unfortunately, Alex is out for the season with a torn ACL. Next game for them is up against Lyon College this Saturday at 1 o'clock, and they lost this past weekend to Grinnell 15-6. Birmingham Southern defensive back Dylan Main, he's a junior, 1-1 on the season. He had 1 tackle in a 45-38 loss to Huntingdon. Next game up for them is Rhodes at Rhodes, 23 September. So they got a bye week this week, and then they'll head up to Rhodes. Season stats for Dylan, 6 tackles, 5 solo, 1 assist, and an interception. Texas Tech defensive back Tommy Leggett, they were on a bye week this week. They're 1-0 on the season. Their next game is this Saturday night against Arizona State. No stats on the young season for Tommy Leggett. Ellen Hancock defensive lineman Anthony Miller, sophomore. He had 1 tackle, 1 sack in a 21-13 win over East Los Angeles this past Saturday. Next game up, Pasadena City, 2 o'clock kickoff this Saturday afternoon. Season stats, 3 tackles, 2 solos, assist, and a sack for Anthony Miller. Bethany College defensive back Marcus Jones, 0-2 on the season. He's a sophomore, no stats on a 34-13 loss to Geneva. Next up is a game against Thiel this Saturday at 1 o'clock. Let's move over to page 2. As I'm actually up to 3 pages now, actually 2.5 pages. And University of West Florida wide receiver Quentin Randolph, he's a redshirt sophomore. They're 1-0 on the season. Their game was canceled this past weekend to Midwestern State due to Hurricane Irma. Next game up for them, they'll be at home for their first home game of the 2017 season, as they'll be hosting Chowan at 6 p.m. Saturday night. Shorter University kicker Brady Hamill, they're 0-2 on the season. They had a 39-12 loss to Tusculum. No stats for Brady in that game. Next up at Florida Tech this Saturday evening at 7, and that game's still to be figured out if they're going to be hosting that game or if they're going to move the game to Rome, Georgia to play with all the weather and the recovery process down in South and Central Florida. And season stats for Brady, he is 2 for 3 on extra points on this season. University of North Carolina running back Michael Carter played in his second game for the Tar Heels. They're 0-2. He had 8 carries for 15 yards and his 3rd touchdown of the season in a 47-35 loss to Louisville. Next game up for that, they'll be on the road for their first road game at Old Dominion this Saturday afternoon at 3:30. On the season, 19 carries, 111 yards, and 3 TDs. Auburn University offensive lineman Nick Brahms is a freshman. He will be redshirted this year. They lost to Clemson Saturday night, 14-6. Next game up this Saturday against Mercer. Troy University defensive back Lee Jones will be redshirted as well. They beat Alabama State for their first win on the season last weekend. Next up for them, they'll be at New Mexico State at 7 p.m. kickoff Saturday evening. Maryville College linebacker Bo Herring and Maryville College quarterback Kane Adamson. They both play for the Scots of Maryville College. If you want to know where that's located, it's about 15 to 16 miles south of Knoxville, Tennessee. They had no stats in a 24-20 win over Hanover this past weekend. Next game will be this Saturday at 1 o'clock against Emory and Henry. That's Kane Adamson and Bo Herring, Maryville College Scots. And Sam Houston State wide receiver Tevin Stevenson, he's a freshman. They're 2-0. He had no stats in a 44-31 win over Prairie View. They are 2-0 on the season and no stats on the season for Tevin. And next up for them, Nicholls State. They out a bye week as well, so their next game will be the 23rd of September at 6 p.m. Florida Tech defensive back Tyson Brown, they're 1-1 on the season. He had no stats in a 42-21 loss to McNeese State. Next game up for them will be against Shorter. That'll be a 7 o'clock kickoff this Saturday night. No stats on the season for Tyson. Shorter University defensive back Royce Thomas, a freshman there as well, 0-2 on the season. Royce did not play in the 39-12 loss to Tusculum this past weekend. Next game at Florida Tech. No stats on the season for Royce Thomas. Mississippi Gulf Coast Junior College defensive lineman Josh Doxey is being redshirted this year. They lost to East Mississippi College 49-10. Next game up at Copiah Lincoln Community College. Thursday night game at 7 o'clock. We already talked about Huntington defensive line Mark Struck. He has one tackle on the season for Huntington, the Hawks. Alabama A&M wide receiver Jordan Williams, a freshman. They're 0-2 on the season. He had no stats in a 42-0 loss to Vanderbilt. Next game up at University of South Alabama this Saturday, 6 p.m. kickoff. And Upper Iowa University linebacker Aaron Mitchell, he's a freshman. They're 1-1 on this season. And no stats in a 33-21 loss to number 21 Minnesota Duluth. Next game up at Northern State this Saturday at 1 o'clock kickoff. No stats on this season for Aaron Mitchell. And the mascot for Upper Iowa is the Peacocks. Never pictured a peacock as a mascot, but hey, if it works for them, it's good for me too. And our last Raider is Alva Marine University offensive lineman LaMarcus Smith. He is playing for the Gyrenes. I love that nickname, the Gyrenes. They're 1-1 on the season. Their game against Pikeville was postponed and rescheduled for 22 September. That'll be next Friday night. This week they will be hosting Campbellsville, Kentucky, a 10 a.m. kickoff this Saturday at home. Well, there's your former Navarre Raiders. Where are they now? Now let's move over to our Gulf Coast, our Gulf South Conference standings and results and schedule coming up for this week. Delta State and West Georgia up top 2-0 on the season. West Florida 1-0. Florida Tech, West Alabama both 1-1. North Alabama and Valdosta State 0-1. And Mississippi College and Shorter University both 0-2. Delta State took out Chowan last week 42-13. Sanford over West Alabama in a good game there, 49-41. Southwest Baptist 32, Mississippi College 9. Midwestern State at West Florida was canceled. Tusculum College 39, Shorter 12. McNeese State 42, Florida Tech 21. West Georgia 45, Miles 7. Valdosta State at Fort Valley State was canceled in a bye week for North Alabama. We start the conference play this week. West Georgia at Delta State at 2 p.m. kickoff on Saturday. Chowan will be at West Florida 6 p.m. Mississippi College at West Alabama and North Alabama at Valdosta State, both 6 p.m. kickoffs and conference games. And Shorter University at Florida Tech, 7 p.m. kickoff. Well, that about does it here for our Wednesday night, week 3 of Irish Bill's Twist on Sports. And it's time once again to thank Randy and Honey Smith for hosting this year's show. This is our third week, and they are our sponsors not only for our broadcast here on Wednesday night, our show, as well as our football broadcast on Friday night. So thanks to Randy and Honey Smith for hosting this year's show. And Coach Walls, no stat change from last week's show, as the Raiders were canceled last week, and no makeup date at this time now against Crestview. May not even be rescheduled, but we'll wait for the final word on that. Coach Walls, 20 years as a head coach, 155 and 83, 16 playoff appearances, 3 state runner-up efforts, 2 state semifinal as well at Navarre, 52 and 13 in his 5+ years here at Navarre. Well, hopefully you have enjoyed our tribute to Coach Greg Greenhaw. who will be coaching his 300th game here this Friday night as the Raiders host Choctaw. And thank you, Coach, for all that you do for our offensive line and our Raider football team and our community of Navarre. And 300 games, that's a lot of games. If you look at it over just 10 games, that would be about 30 years. So and I'm sure there were some extra playoff games in there as well. So probably about 20 to 25 years of coaching for Coach Greenhaw. And what an awesome man and friend and a strong believer in Christ, as am I. And I thank God for putting Coach Greenhaw in my life as well as me in his. But this Irish Bills Twist on Sports, Week 3. We hope that you have enjoyed the show. We'll be back on the air this Friday night as the Raiders will host the Indians of Choctaw, Achi High. And it should be a great matchup. 0-2 Choctaw at 2-0 Navarre. Always a battle when these two teams get together. And you can listen and watch all the live action on JockJive.com this Friday night. With 7:30 kickoff, 7 o'clock is your pregame. Hopefully Mike Martino will be back in the booth. Mike's still recovering from his medical procedure last week. Hopefully we'll get him back in the booth. And hopefully I can coax my daughter back into the booth to work the camera. She did a great job at Washington about a week and a half ago, and we thank her for all that she does with us and working our camera. Once again, this is Irish Bills Twist on Sports, Week 3. Until Friday night, from Bennett C. Russell Stadium, may the wind ever be at your back, as this is Irish Bill signing off. Good night, Navarre.